Good evening, my name's Maddie and welcome to the Selecting the Right ATAR subject webinar. We invite you today as Year 9 and 10 students and parents as well. So if you're kind of in that age bracket, then stay tuned for the next half hour. Curtin University acknowledges the Whadjuk Noongar people, traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, and pay our respects to their ancestors and elders past, present and emerging. So my name is Maddie Sterling. I'm the team leader of Future Student Engagement. My team you might have seen out and about on your school campuses. You might have joined us on campus at Curtin before to have a race around with our students. But really what we're here today is to provide you with some details about how you can pick your ATAR subjects for next year in Year 11 and 12 to give yourself the best chance of getting into a course at Curtin. So tonight's program, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Curtin Uni and university lingo, explore study areas. We're going to talk about what is an ATAR, entry requirements and pathways for when you do get to Year 12 and you think you might want to come to uni, your next steps for the next few years of high school, and then we can also go into some question time. So feel free to ask any questions as I go on our little chat app on the right hand side, and we've got some moderators either answering your questions or they can provide them to me and I can answer them. So if you join Curtin in a few years' time, you'll be joining a university that's creating positive change. We are a very, very inclusive and diverse culture, and we do that by welcoming a very, very diverse student and staff population. So a few things that we do here that are aligned to our inclusion and diversity is we have the Ally Network, which is for staff and students to provide support and understanding to our LGBTQI+ staff and student population. We have a whole manner of different cultures who come to study here, international students, and we provide support where we need it or where you need it as a student based on really your individual circumstances. So really support is here for you, you just need to ask for it. So our students will graduate job ready for the job market, and we do that by creating a really, really scaffolded approach, a really step-by-step approach for our students as they progress through their 3 or 4 years of uni. So what that means is that in your first year, you'll get some really great foundation classes, some really, introduction classes to understand what the foundations of your course is, and then after that we'll be able to provide some on-campus opportunities for you to get some practical and hands-on experience before in your 3rd and 4th years you might actually go out into some work integrated learning. So that's a big word, but what that basically means is you actually get to go out to businesses that offer jobs and careers in the area that aligns to your course, and you actually get some experience while you're still studying. What that does is it enables your face and name to get out there in front of industry leaders. You can make some networks, you can potentially meet your first new boss straight out of uni. We have a strong global reputation as well, and so what that means is we have campuses across the globe. We have one in Kalgoorlie, which is where our mining and engineering or mining students will go for their, I think, 2nd and 3rd years of their course. We have the Midland Health Campus now as well. Across the world, we've got Malaysia, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Dubai, and Singapore as well. So you might be able to start your course and then actually go international, do a semester, do a year internationally, and you can also go global, which means maybe not even studying at a Curtin campus. You might be able to go and study at a university in the UK that's actually aligned to, that offer courses that are aligned to the one you're studying as well. And finally, industry connections as well. So a lot of what we do in our courses is being able to provide industry-aligned course and information so that you can develop the skills that you really need in your first year out of uni to be successful in your first job. So a little bit about Curtin uni lingo or university lingo in general. I understand that I am hopefully talking to mostly 13 to 15-year-olds, and it's a little bit daunting to understand the university climate and environment, and you don't really have to understand it and straight away. And also we find that a lot of students, even when they commence studying here, they don't really know everything, and it's really a learning process. So we're here to support you wherever you need it. If there's any questions that you might have along the way, you can always give us a phone call. ask on Slido or continue coming to our events that we have over the next few years. So uni lingo, one word that you might have heard a lot is prerequisites. So what this means is it's a class of subject that you might do in year 11 or 12, an ATAR subject, that will give you lots of knowledge that you need to be able to use in your course that you get into. Not every single course at Curtin or other universities will have prerequisites. Mostly we will find that that's more in the health area, the health sciences area, the science and engineering, and so we actually have quite a few courses in the arts and commerce areas which don't require any specific subject prerequisites. But what that means is that if you want to get into something like medicine, something like engineering, this year and next year, you're going to have to be mindful of the courses in ATAR that you pick. Don't stress too much. It is actually something that you can go back and potentially go into another course at Curtin first if you don't make the right choice, or even if you make the right choice for now, but then in a few years' time you change your mind. So just something to be aware of. Minimum ATAR versus guaranteed ATAR. So we have a few courses across uni that are quite popular, and we have a cap of the amount of students that we'll allow into that course for a multitude of reasons, and it typically is those health sciences courses such as physiotherapy, medicine, nursing, amongst a few. And what that means is that we have to be a little bit more careful when we select the students who actually gain entry into those courses. So what we do is we recommend that you get a minimum ATAR, a certain ATAR, to get into that course. But what the minimum means is that you probably want to work towards getting a bit of a higher ATAR to be competitive. Because if you do just hit that kind of 70 minimum ATAR, which is often the case, you might be going up against students who are also applying who have 75 to 80 ATAR, and then they end up getting a place. So the difference between minimum and guaranteed is that a guaranteed ATAR essentially means our courses don't have caps on them, and as long as you meet the eligibility criteria and you apply as first preference, you'll likely get an offer. When it comes to bachelor and undergrad degrees, they are one and the same. So a bachelor degree or an undergraduate degree is the first university level course that you'll take after you leave high school. So you can go to TAFE and you can study certificates and diplomas, advanced diplomas. None of those are undergraduates. Undergraduate is the first degree that you'll take at university. And finally, double major versus double degree. So in the course that you pick, let's say Bachelor of Arts, you might pick a major, something in journalism, as an example, and you might want to accompany that with a really, really complementary major, such as another communications major or something like a language. So you can do that all within the same degree, the Bachelor of Arts as an example. Double degrees is when you combine, whilst complementary, very, very separate areas of study together, so two different undergrad degrees. So as an example, we might be combining a Bachelor of Commerce with a Bachelor of Science. Lots of people will combine a Bachelor of Engineering with Bachelor of Science. And what that means is that whilst it's a longer degree, it's not as long as doing two separate degrees altogether. And the benefits of that is you're getting two very, very different skill sets in two different areas where you can essentially be more employable when you leave school. So these are all the different job areas I've mentioned. I've touched on a few different courses, or this is a few different study areas that we offer. Now, all 10 of these study areas will come under what we call a faculty. So we've got 5 different faculties. So all the way from agriculture, environment, you'll also have engineering, mining and surveying, and then physical sciences and geoscience. They're kind of all under the science and engineering banner. We've got Indigenous courses that are under the Centre for Aboriginal Studies. We've got the health and health sciences, architecture and construction, arts and culture and creative industries. They're all in our humanities area. And then we've also got business management and law under our faculty of business and law, which is the first faculty to talk about. So what this really does is we've got our flagship Bachelor of Commerce that we offer here. And what that is essentially, if you don't really understand what commerce means, it's the way that we name our business degree. And so under that, you can study a whole manner of things from marketing, management, tourism, across a whole different range. So the great thing about this is that you can get skills and competencies in business and commerce, but you don't necessarily need to pick your major straight away. So another thing is if you want to do business, but you get to year 12 and you're simply not wanting to make a decision, you can actually start studying in your first semester or two, or the first year, before you even really pick a major. So there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of, we aim to, I guess, limited stress on our students. You'll be able to study a few units that are across the board in all of our business degrees, or in all of our business majors, so that you're not wasting any time picking a major early and then really changing your mind. So under the business and law area, we've got actuarial science, business administration, commerce, financial mathematics, and law. So if you like economics, English, maths, that type of area of studies in year 7, 8, and 9, and you're doing pretty well in those, you might want to consider going into business when you leave school. So really interestingly, this might not mean a lot to our younger audience, but the FBL, Faculty of Business and Law, is WA's only business school to receive triple accreditation. Now, we've got some abbreviations on the screen, so I'm going to read them out. What they mean is the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, which is based in the US, the European Foundation for Management Development, which is based in Brussels in Belgium, and the EFMD Quality Improvement System, which is based in the UK. So what that means is that gaining a Bachelor of Commerce here at Curtin will be able to be recognised and accredited basically across the globe in lots and lots of different countries, because it is triple accredited. So under actuarial science, you'll note as we go into a little bit of that ATAR talk, that prerequisite talk I was mentioning, some of our courses, as in commerce, no prerequisites. What you'll really want to do to be eligible to apply to us is, straight from high school, is if you want to go on an ATAR pathway, you'd want to aim for a 70 ATAR, which I'll go into what that actually means later. And you'll also want to achieve what we call English competency. So for those of year 10s who have actually already picked their ATAR subjects, you want to have picked an ATAR subject that is in the English area, so English Lit, English as an additional language, or that overarching English course. Actuarial science, as an example, is another course that you can actually study that's very much in that data analysing and picking trends and being able to inform business decisions based on that. So it's a little bit more of a I guess, difficult or challenging course, and so we do put an ATAR requirement on that as a 92. You will need to pick at least maths methods, if not specialist, which is a little bit higher, and then or equivalent to that. So far and beyond that as well, you will need to also get that English competency. So I won't go into everything on the screen, but that's just a few snapshots. You can look in your course guides that you can find relatively easily on the website. You can go onto the courses that you're interested in on the website and have a look at what their eligibility criteria is. So a little snapshot of a Management HQ, which we have on the Perth campus in Bentley. And so this is an area or a learning area that our management students can come and utilise. They use it a lot throughout their degree in order to, I guess, simulate a business crisis, and they come together. They all have different roles in a business, and they all work together to manage the problem or the challenge and come out on the other side as a successful business. In the health area, we have allied health, medical and population, so a few different options there. So if you're interested in chemistry, health, human biology and maths, and you're pretty good at it at school, you might consider something in the health area. If you find that you're really keen to help people and you want to work closely with patients and look at them from a functional point of view, what's wrong with their muscles, what's currently wrong with them, can I treat them, then you might consider health. So under these three different banners, we've got lots of different degrees. We've got exercise and sports science, where some of our graduates end up going and being things like exercise physiologists or something in that area of rehabilitation. We've got our nursing degree, which is a 3.5-year degree. Our nursing students actually get to use a hospital simulated ward when they're learning here, and we've got pretend patients that actually, some of them give birth, as the midwife students will use, or you can actually take blood from them or administer medication. So we've got occupational therapy, physiotherapy, all the way down to speech pathology. Population health, I'm just going to skip over that at the moment. So if you're not interested necessarily in treating patient to clinician, you might want to consider positively influencing the health of, or the public health of communities in a different way. And so you might consider something like health promotion or health safety in the environment. And finally, in our medical field, we've got pharmacy, med radiation science for students who would like to graduate ready to perform radiation therapy or do CT scans and x-rays and that type of thing. And we've also got the only undergraduate medical program in WA. So a little bit more about Curtin Medical School. Our course essentials are, they are quite challenging and they are reflected on the fact that we do only have around 110 places for students next year. And so what you'll be looking at, these student places are unlikely to change in the near future. So what you'll look to do in year 9 and 10 is select a chemistry ATAR unit, as that is a prerequisite, select an English unit in ATAR, as well as work towards getting an ATAR of 95 and achieving your WACE. When you get to year 12, you'll need to take something called the UCAT, which is the Undergraduate Clinical Aptitude Test, but that can wait. At the moment, you're in year 9 or 10 and you can certainly just concentrate on picking your ATAR subjects and doing the best you can. So that's a little snapshot of our nursing students, and where our physio, nursing and occupational therapy students will treat fake patients basically and get you really comfortable with being in a hospital. So humanities, this is an interesting kind of culmination of a lot of different types of courses. If you're interested in media arts, visual arts, you're quite a creative person, you might consider something in the humanities area. I hold a Bachelor of Arts in Professional Writing and Publishing and Performance Studies from Curtin. So we've got a few different degrees across the board: arts, communications, creative arts and design. So under that arts and creative arts, that's very much if you are that visual, that textual, that wanting to put your theory into practice type person and very creative. Communications is a way that you'll be able to master different forms and genres of communication, so that when you go into industry and become a, professional communicator, you can write for web, you can write for magazines and a whole range of different areas and different genres. And finally, Bachelor of Design as well. We've got animation and game design and photography, fashion design, all a part of that. So it's quite varied, because we also have architecture and things like urban and regional planning, interior architecture, construction management and architectural science. If you're wanting to be an architect, just consider the fact that when you do want to go and study, you'll actually have to do 5 years to get registered. So we offer a Bachelor of Applied Science in Architectural Science. It's 3 years, but if you want to be a registered architect, you'll also have to study a Masters in Architecture afterwards as well. And we have offerings for all of our budding teachers as well. So if you're wanting to be an educational assistant, you might consider educational studies. If you want to be a registered teacher with the Teachers Registration Board of WA, you will pick early childhood, primary or secondary education. A take home for you at this moment is to consider, if you do want to be primary or secondary, you might need to pick certain prerequisites for secondary education, but early childhood and primary do not have specific prerequisites. So have a look at our course guides. That's a little snapshot of Jo, who is our lead of our fashion program here at Curtin. Finally, science and engineering. We are incredibly well known for our engineering program here. We have in the study areas: agriculture, environment, engineering, IT, and physical sciences and geoscience. So across the board, if you're interested in physics, if you're interested in chemistry, maths, or anything a little bit more cerebral, you might consider something in this area. Because we have lots and lots of different majors in this area, I would highly recommend to look at the prerequisite requirements. A lot of our IT, computing, environmental sciences will require you to at least pick maths applications, ATAR, and then others such as data science, computer science, actuarial will require you to pick at least maths methods. So if you are thinking of something in this area, just consider that. So we've got quite a bit here to pick from, but take home, we've got fantastic industry connections here at Curtin. We have industry connections with NASA, so our engineering students will actually, in the past, have designed mini robots with the intention to go to Mars. We've recently been involved in or spearheaded the BINAR satellite project, which is currently orbiting the Earth at the moment as we speak. So a little bit about what is an ATAR. So that is the Australian Tertiary admissions rank. And what that means is that we take, or the Department of Education and associated organisations will take your 50% of your Year 12 as school assessment. So throughout Year 12, you'll be working really hard towards your assignments and your tests. 50% of that will make up your ATAR. Finally, the other 50% will come from your WACE exams at the end of the year. So just consider that it will have quite a important stake in what you actually get in your school assessments. We will use your top 4 ATAR subjects. So if you pick 6 ATAR subjects, that's totally fine. Your top 4 will count. And also don't forget, you'll get 10% extra loading if you pick a language or if you do maths, methods or specialist as well. So for an ATAR entry requirement, you'll be looking to achieve your WACE, your West Australian Certificate of Education. You'll be looking to achieve at least a minimum of 70. All the different universities have different minimum entry criteria. Curtin has 70 and English competency. There are 2 main things. Far and beyond that, some of our more competitive courses, as mentioned, will have prerequisites. So that's a kind of ATAR entry requirement in a nutshell. You want to get your WACE, achieve at least the 70, achieve your English competency, and then far and beyond if you need to get a different prerequisite. But we've got lots and lots of other entry pathways. So if ATAR's not for you, and I know that that's the whole reason for tonight's webinar, but if it's not for you and you're considering going a different pathway, potentially taking general subjects, if that works for you in year 11 and 12, that's absolutely no worries. You can still come to uni later. So we have something called the Uni Ready or Indigenous Enabling Program. If you want to stay on our webinars for a bit later, we're going to talk about all pathways into Curtin, but just be aware that there are other opportunities. We've got portfolio entry. If you take a Certificate 4 in high school, all you have to do is achieve English competency, and your Certificate 4 actually is kind of equal to a 70 ATAR. So that would be pretty cool to do as well. Anything else you do at TAFE will also count, and you might even be able to get credit for recognised learning. So if you are looking to TAFE in the near future, then keep in mind that that doesn't necessarily close doors for university for you. So your next steps, reflect on your likes and interests. I mentioned a few different areas of strengths, but also at the end of the day, ask yourself what you enjoy doing. Do you enjoy talking to people? Do you enjoy tinkering with things, making things? Understand that your favourite subjects and your likes and dislikes. Think of your future goals. What do you want to accomplish from your career? Look at uni publications, uni websites, talk to your older siblings, your friends, your family. And finally, you can visit our campus as well. So tonight we're just kicking off Curtin Open Week, but we will be welcoming students on campus all week long until Thursday evening, and we're going to have different faculties and areas activated across the week. So you're more than welcome to come along, experience it for yourself and see what type of vibe you get from the uni, because it might be what's right for your future. Finally, if you're really not sure what you want to do, you might consider going to curtin.edu/career, and we've got a career quiz that you can put in a few different answers, and it kind of spits out a little brief description of what type of personality you are, and it gives you a few courses that you might want to consider. So that's enough from me. We've got a few more minutes. I do have a few assistants in the audience who are able to ask me questions if there are any online.
Yeah, Maddie, we've got a few questions here. Just bring it up. So what do you suggest students should do over the next few years to have their best chance to get into Curtin?
Cool. So we can certainly appreciate all of the things I've talked about, ATAR as a standard entry pathway or other opportunities for pathways. I guess just the take home at the moment is not to stress. Understand that as your high school life progresses, you might change in terms of what you like and dislike as well, and just really take stock of how you're managing the workload, how you're managing all of your courses and your subjects, and you might find that you do extremely well in areas you didn't necessarily think you were going to, and also really enjoy it as well. So really just tune into yourself and don't listen to what your friends are saying. Trust that you're going to make the right decision for yourself, and if that means completely changing your ideas about what you want to do for the future in the next few years because your personality really does go a certain direction that you didn't expect, that's totally fine. And then also once you get to year 12, just appreciate that the majority of high school leavers won't be completely set and know absolutely what they want to do. So just keep it flexible and don't stress too much.
Awesome. There's another one here. What would you suggest for students who require learning adjustments?
Yeah, so I mentioned support when you need it. So there's, like I said, very inclusive and diverse. We feel like education is for everyone, and we want to ensure that your journey to that is as successful and as, I guess, expedited as it possibly can be. But it certainly is the case that many students will require a learning adjustment. And so we have something called Accessibility, which is a small team on campus that can actually work alongside you and your GP to be able to provide in writing basically notice for your teachers, your tutors and lecturers that you need learning adjustments in order to make your experience equitable. So what that means is that you are potentially require learning adjustments. You go to your GP, they provide a letter, and Accessibility will provide you extra time reading for your exams, potentially a longer time to work on your assignments, whatever works for your particular need. So highly recommend that. We do what we can, and so really it's just a matter of asking.
Awesome, thank you. There's one here, I'm stuck between uni and TAFE, what should I do?
I guess ask what you would like the outcome to be. So everyone, I remember what it was like being at high school, and everyone said that it was the next step was uni, but not necessarily, depending on what you want as an outcome for a career. So you can certainly get places from both TAFE and uni, and so again tune into what your goals are. If you want to be an apprentice, it's very likely that you're going to need to get an apprenticeship and go and study at TAFE simultaneously. So just ask yourself that what is the outcome, what is the goal that you're hoping to get to, and what are the different pathways to get there. And if uni and TAFE are both reasonable options for that, then just have a look and see what the different courses are that you can take. And also just be aware that, leaving year 12, graduating, going on to TAFE is a completely legitimate pathway into uni at a later time if that's what you want to do.
Awesome, thank you. Just check if there's one more. What's the best pathway for me? So to work out what pathway to go down.
Definitely. So what's the best pathway? I guess maybe talk to your parents and your teachers, your career counsellors, and kind of ask in their experience how they've experienced your management of your classes in like year 7 to 9. So sometimes we can appreciate you're in a class with your friends, you might really succeed quite easily and then they may struggle. And so I think it's just appreciating that you innately will have something that will make sense for you to go on and complete year 12. But basically just tune in to see I guess how you have managed the workload, and if you feel like you could go for more and you feel relatively comfortable with a high amount of workload and a little bit more of a challenge, then ATAR and different higher courses might be right for you. And then also if you're much more hands-on and you want to get stuck into things outside of school, then you might consider a general or a certificate course.
Awesome. That seems to be all our questions for now.
Okay, thank you very much everyone for attending. I hope we've given a few thoughts or a few prompts for your thoughts for the next few years. Take homes from me, all the best for your subject selections and your prerequisites. Take a breath and don't stress too much. If you have any questions, you can call 1300 222 888 and speak with a Curtin Future Student Advisor, and you're very likely to see myself and my team on your high school campus in the next few years. Thank you very much.